So I'm waiting on some parts. Ordered a bunch of stuff. Came to like $1,300, but I got rod and main bearings, which is like $80. I got the cam bearings, which were like $50, and the LS7 lifters and trays, which is about $190. And then the oil pan was like $150. The spacer for the flex plate was like $20. We got the BTR 660 lift springs, so those were about, they had the retainers, the seals and everything. Sounded like it was raining. For like $270, $280. And we had to buy the motor mounts, those were like $150. Cam bearing install tool, a piston install tool. I hate those ones that compress, they suck. Those beveled ones that you just set on the cylinder and drop the piston in, those are awesome. And I can't remember what else, but we'll go through a list here in a minute. But today, we're gonna hit this thing with a hone. That's a 270 grit. And I'm just gonna put it on the drill. Keep it at a decent constant speed, not real fast, not real slow, and just go in and out about 4 times. One direction, change the direction, same thing, in and out about 4 times, going in and out the same speed and keeping the drill the same speed and not stopping in the cylinders. You don't want to start in the cylinders, you start out here and then go in. And try not to stop in the cylinder. I'd record me doing it, but you gotta have 2 hands, so we're going to do all those because we need to do that before we gap the rings, because that's going to change the ring gap just a little. Now I got some lube down in the cylinder, and I'm also going to lube that part up. Oh, the cord got stuck on it. I'm going to lube that up, and then this is about that speed right there, and in and out about 4 times. Flip it, try to keep it about the same speed. In and out about 4 times. Try not to stop in the cylinder. Start out of the cylinder, then go in. Alright, there we go. Let's clean the lube off and you'll see what it looks like. This just helps the ring seat. We're not trying to take any material out, we're just trying to get some markings in there. Alright, and there you'll see. We got some crosshatch lines. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted. Should be enough to get the rings seated. Then we'll do the rest of these in just a before and after. There's before. There's after. There you go. All done. Didn't take but about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Here's another cylinder. Yeah. That looks good to me. Just got that back and forth cross hatching in it. Can't see as good on the camera. Yeah, looks good to me. Alright, clean the cylinders out a little. Cylinders look good. Yes, sir. Now we're gonna gap some rings. I got this side of the motor 2468. I got the rings lined up 2468. We'll start with this one. This is rod number 2, and then as we gap them, we'll go ahead and put them back on the piston. And what I've done in the past, I've just used a file. I've got this now. I hook it to that drill, but I just hold when I had the file, used the file, I just held it like that and moved the file back and forth. Move the file and hold this still to gap them, and it works. But now I got this. So when you spin this thing, you want to spin it, you want the rotation you want the rotation to go down, and then that's where you want to get the ring at, and you just do one side. But after I do one side, I'll take that file and clean off any burrs once I get it to where I want it, and then I just take the file and hit it there on all four sides just to clean the burrs off. Yeah, I'll hook the drill to right there and then spin it and boop, 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 boop. Do it a little, put it in the cylinder, push it down even with the front head of the piston, check it, see where it's at, and just go a little at a time. I don't think it's bad to go a little over, but we're shooting for 30, 32. 32 preferably. But like I said, when I got the rings in my 5.3, one of them I accidentally went, that one I only did 28, but one of them accidentally went to like 32, 34, and actually that cylinder has more compression than the rest of them. How far you gap these depends on the bore size. The bigger the bore, the bigger these have to gap. So I'm doing 4-inch bore times 0.007 or to 0.008, which is 28 to 32. So that's where we're going. See, 5.3 has a smaller bore, so you don't have to gap them as far. The bore determines how far you gap them. The bigger the bore, the more gap it needs. But anyway, I'm gonna hook the drill to this and start some off there. That's my little setup. I hit the trigger, and as this is spinning down, I go I'll do that 5 or 6 times. We'll check, see where it's at. What was it at? 20 last time? I believe we already checked this one. It was at 20, but I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then check it and see how far it goes, and that'll give me an idea how many times I need to do it like that. Alright, I did that about 15 times. Now let's put it in there. Carefully try to put it in there evenly. It takes 2 hands, but try to put it in there evenly. Once you get it like that far, take your piston and try to get it even. So the oil ring's going to catch it because the oil ring's still on it, so should put it even. And then we'll see if we'll check that gap. And I'm going to start with a 30 filler gauge. No go or no go is what I'm going to do. So let's see. Look at that. We nailed it. Oh. That's a 30. Let's see if a 32 would go. Well, a 30 won't go through there, but it tries to. Oh, wait, I can pull it through there, but there's a lot of drag. And here's the 30. 30 goes through there pretty good. So I'm going to hit it one more time and call that one good. I'm just going to, I did this, that thing I said 1, 2, 3, 4, I did that 15 times. I'm going to do it one more touch and then clean the edges up, call that one good. And when you pull these out of here, try to pull it just like the piston would move it. Not like that. I did it crooked. It's easier to put one hand on this side and one hand on this side and pull it out, but yep, I'll have to set the camera down to do that. Alright, I hit it one more time on this side. Pretty confident that got us to 032. I'm comfortable with that. Now you'll feel some burrs, and if you don't get this burr off especially, it'll put a line up and down the cylinder. Ask me how I know. So I'm just going to take that file and kind of hit on all edges of the side I grinded on and clean that up, and then we'll put that one, we'll call that one done. Once we get both of them done, we'll put it back on the piston. We need to do the second ring first because it's easier to put the second ring on first and the middle ring and then the top ring. But yeah, let me clean these burrs off and we'll move to that one right there. There you go, all burrs removed. Yep, good stuff. That one's done. And then we'll just do all those like that. The top and middle ring for every piston. And then put them back on the pistons. And this tool right here, man, that tool works good. Plus these were already at 17 to 20 thousandths. So we only needed knock a hundredth off of them. That ain't nothing. Yeah, so this should actually go pretty quick. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna lube the cylinders back up. The cam bearings won't be here till Tuesday. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the cam bearings in. The rod and main bearings should be in by then. The rod bolts and the crank bolts are torqued to yield, but I'm told that you can, eyebrow hair gets wild sometimes. But anyway, I'm told that you can torque those down up to 3 times before you have to replace them. So we're gonna run the factory bolts, and we'll probably check with plastic gauge on a few of the cylinders, just to see what the bearing clearances are. All right, that cylinder's done. Forgot to mention, dot goes up. Make sure you keep these separated so you know which one's the middle and which one's the top ring. Put them back where they went. If you set that one in the groove and kind of carefully spiral this around, then when you get to right here, you have to lift up on it so you don't scratch the side of the piston. Oh, and it fell in the second groove. It's easier to do this with 2 hands. But you have to lift up and then over and then drop it down so you don't scratch the side of the piston. But yeah, and put your rings back in. And when you put your rings back in, you want the gaps separated. So I'll put one gap at the top. That's the front of the piston. Put one gap at the top and one gap at the bottom. So the second ring, the gap will be lined up right here. And when I put the first top ring on, I'm gonna put the gap right there where my thumb's at, so they're separated apart. You don't want those lined up. There we go, that gap right there. Top ring gap. Right there. That'll do it here. 1 down and 8 to go. That actually only took me about 10 minutes. Usually it takes longer than that, but these rings are falling down really easy. Oh, and one more thing. As I'm doing these, I'm making sure that the rod spins freely on the piston, just like that, as I go through them. It should spin nice and freely. And these are the floating pins with the clip. Yes. And one more thing. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but do the rings for the cylinder you're putting them in. So we moved on to piston number 4. So we're going to gap these next ones right here in cylinder number 4. Cylinder 6, rings for that one. We're going to use this bore. Same thing for the other side. Alright, update on this side. On the filler gauge, I'm using 30, 32, and 35. On this side, on both rings, on all cylinders, the 30 would go, the 32 would go with light drag, and then the 35 wouldn't go, except for the second ring on cylinder 4. I don't know why, but always one ring I mess up. It's at like 42 thousandths, but like I said, I did that on my 5.3, and that cylinder has the best compression, so it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and move to this side. This time I'm being a little bit more anal, I guess you could say. I'm checking them before I gap them, doing it a little, putting them back in. That's the way you want to do it. Check them before, do a little, check them again. That'll give you an idea of how many times to hit it on that wheel. And then hit it a little more, check it again, a little more, check it again. Do each one of them like this. This should be a little time consuming. It should take you at least an hour at least. That's just from me putting rings in and out there. But yeah, let's do this side and I'll update you on what we come up with on this side. No, something else I forgot to mention. Make sure you clean off the back side of your rings when you're doing this. And make sure you wipe out the cylinder too. Oddly enough, that's why I messed up that second ring on number 2. The second ring on some of these is already really, really close. And some of them it's not. Some of them they're 17 and some of them they're like 26. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, check them before you start grinding on them. And then as you grind on them with this thing, you'll get a basic idea of how fast you need to spin this and how many times and how much pressure you need to tap to that to get the gap you need as you go. But yeah, just, you know, check, do a little, check, do a little, check, do a little, check till you get where you want to be. And see, that one's, I measured that one out. That one's right at 33. You can see by the gap. You can actually see a thousandths, or 5 thousandths. You can actually see about 5 thousandths when you look at these based on that gap. Oh, and if you put that filler gauge in there and it has slight drag, sometimes it'll pop one side of the ring up like that and it'll mess your reading up. So make sure those are good and even when you check it. And if you accidentally knock them out to where they're not completely straight, make sure you put them back completely straight, because that'll mess with the reading. But yeah, like I said before, I just got a 30, a 32, and a 35. The 30, I want to go through there. And then the 35, or the 32, I want to go with light drag. And then the 35, I don't want to go through there. See, that's the way I've been doing it. One more thing I wanted to mention on this is, if you don't get these filler gauges straight in that groove, it'll bind up on you, of course. So sometimes you gotta just move it around a little bit and wiggle a little bit and just see what you got. That was 30. There's 32 with a light drag. And there's 35. It won't go in there. Ugh, stuck. So that's the way I've been doing them all. Alright, there we go, guys. All these come out exactly the way I wanted, except for the second ring again on one of these. I think I got to about 36. That second ring, it's made out of a softer material than that topper ring, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'm going to use some of that Shield PB Blast Shield. It's like a coating that keeps stuff from rusting, because today's Saturday and we're not going to get our parts in until sometime next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I am going to set it on the ground, because the next thing we're going to be doing on this thing is the cam bearings. We need to do the cam bearings. Once we get the cam bearings in and where they're supposed to be and make sure the cam fits like it should, then we'll put the main bearings in, put the crank in, and then check the end play for the thrust bearing that goes right in the middle. And then on that, if that, well, we'll go over that when we get there. But yeah, that's going to do her. Y'all have a good one. Alright, and just to go over what I ordered. We got these cam bearings. It seems like everybody uses the Durabond, the CHP 10, CHP 23, I think, and the 25 for the 1, 2, and 3 series. I'm told you can use the 3 series with the wider middle bearings and the Series 2 blocks, and I believe from the measurements from the last video, I believe that's what we got, and that was $58. And then we got, oh, y'all can see my name. Oh, no. I don't care about that. But we got the rod and main bearings, $77. Lifters and lifter trays, just from Michigan Motorsports, the Delphi LS7s.
That was $196. And then we did get some pieces to make the Haltech Rebel control the boost, and that's what this is for, a pressure sensor for the wastegate. And then we bought these motor mounts. Christopher has motor mounts that are a little bit narrower than your typical small block Chevy, so we needed something that we could bolt those to, and these you can bolt it to and you can slide them back and forth so we can put the motor basically where it was, so the transmission and the drive shaft all fit like they should. And here's the cam bearing install tool that I bought, and then a couple of Mac valves again for the boost controller. And we went with the it's just got the sloppy stage 2 cam in it right now, but we plan on running a bigger cam later. So we got the Brian Tooley 660 dual valve spring kit. Seems like everybody's using for stuff like this. And I got a little but yeah, all this stuff was $834. And then I got a thing to put the pistons in, got a new cam plate, a new balancer bolt, and then got a gasket set, and then got a couple of BTR LS9 head gaskets, and then the oil pan. And yeah, all that come to, if you add it up, about $1,300. But there's just stuff to put the motor in the car mainly. Really the only thing that we bought for inside the motor was the cam bearings, rod and main bearings, the lifters, and the springs. No, and the cam plate and the balancer bolt. But yeah, that's and the head gaskets, and the gaskets, oil pan, and the list keeps going on and on. But anyway, that's our parts list.